First, let's talk climate and energy policy, because you know it's just so important for this country, and we certainly like to examine the reality, the causes and the possible solutions to our energy crisis right here on Chris Kenny Tonight. I mean, if you watch this program, you know that net zero by 2050 is impossible. You know the mess we've made of our electricity grid, building in too much renewable power, closing down too much dispatchable power, spending too much on transmission systems, sending prices skyrocketing, and of course reliability plummeting. And you know that while we inflict this harm on ourselves, other countries are not doing the same. Global emissions are growing, which of course puts the lie to this sort of nonsense from our climate and energy minister.
Australia's potential as a green energy superpower is just so big. I will not walk away from efforts to reduce power prices by rolling out more renewable energy, because renewable energy is the cheapest form of energy.
This is just tosh. It's the opposite of reality. Instead of exposing this nonsense, though, most of the media just goes along with it. But the absurdity of what Bowen pretends to be true has actually been undermined by a fellow renewable energy evangelist. In this article in The Australian over the weekend, we heard from the former chief scientist Alan Finkel about his new book, which details how the country can switch to the renewables plus storage model. Now, he supports this. He reckons it can happen, and he wants it to happen, even though he says it's a far bigger challenge than most people realise. Look at how he describes it. Think forests of wind farms carpeting hills and cliffs from sea to sky. Think endless arrays of solar panels disappearing like a mirage into the desert. That's Alan Finkel's dream. Sounds lovely, doesn't it? And it won't be cheap either. I reckon it's a disaster, which is why many experts argue it won't happen, at least not without lots of nuclear energy too. Finkel is a believer in the renewables dream, yet he doesn't deny how big a deal it is, including the construction of 10,000 kilometres or more of extra transmission lines. He says the difficulty is costs don't come down like they used to for solar, wind and batteries. He says transmission lines are mature technologies and their costs go up with regulatory overheads, labour and the cost of copper, aluminium and steel. And then you run into tension between local landholders and the industry. And that's a really hard one. Yeah, as we've shown you here with farmers, with environmentalists and with crayfishers, many of these transmission and renewable energy projects are met with local resistance. So full marks to Finkel. I don't agree with his overall thrust or his optimism, but at least he's not pretending this renewables push will be easy. We've not tried to do anything like this before. It's a massive and expensive experiment. And so far, it's costing a bomb and jeopardising our energy supplies. That's not a good start.